हरे कृष्णा। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, या गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन, यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यमुना तीरा वनचारी, यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। गौर प्रेमानंदे। जय ओम विष्णुपाद ब्रह्मस्पृशार्य स्तोत्र सत्य डिवाइन ग्रेस अभयचरण भक्तिदम स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद ब्रह्मस्पृशार्य स्तोत्र श्रीमद् भक्ति सिद्धांत सतगुरु महाराज की जय। नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। श्रीमद् भागवत पुराण की जय। समवेत भक्तवृंद की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Thai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। श्रीमद्भागवतम canto 10, text 48, verse 33 to 35. No, that verse is not here. Different verse on the board. Thank you. Anyway, I'll be reading from 10th, chapter 48, verse 33. But the verse is different written over there. I don't know which verse you wrote. Anyway, 33. Pete, you have one phone? You have a phone? Pitari uparate balam. Pitari uparate balam. Sahamatra sudukitam. Samatra sudukitam. Anita swapuram rajnam. Anita swapuram rajnam. Vashanta iti sushrumam. Vashanta iti sushrumam. Pitari uparate balam. Sahamatra sudukitam. Anita swapuram rajnam. Vashanta iti sushrumam. Pitari uparate balam. Samatra sudukitam. Anita swapuram rajnam. Vashanta iti sushrumam. Pitari uparate balam. Samatra sudukitam. Anita swapuram rajnam. Vashanta iti sushrumam. Pitari uparate balam. Samatra sudukitam. Anita swapuram rajnam. Vashanta iti sushrumam. Pitari, their father, uparate, when he passed away. Bala, young boys. Saha, together with. Matra, their mother. Su, very. Dukkita, distressed. Anita, brought. Swa, to his own. Puram, capital city. Rajna, by the king. Vashante, they are residing. Iti, thus. Susruma, we have heard. Translation. We have heard that when their father passed away, the young Pandavas were brought with their anguished mother to the capital city by King Dhritarashtra, and that they are now living there. I'll go up to 35, 34. Teshu rajambika putro vrate putreshu dinadi samona vartate nunam dushkurta vasogo dhatrik. Indeed, weak-minded Dhritarashtra, the son of Ambika, has come under the control of his wicked sons, and therefore that blind king is not treating his brother's sons fairly. Gachajani tadvritam adhuna sadhava asaduva vignaya tadvidasyamo yatasham suhridam bhavet. Go and see whether Dhritarashtra is acting properly or not. When we find out, we will make the necessary arrangements to help our dear friends. Panchakalpatarupyasya kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnobhyo namo namah. Om jnanatimrandasya jnananjanashalakaya chakshurunmitam yena tasmai Sri Guruve namah. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapadakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavam Sa Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Sajivam Sadvaitam Saudutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitam Sha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namuste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanusuti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktarinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. This topic is very vast regarding the Pandavas and the Kauravas. There's very wonderful stories from Mahabharata. And in this chapter, the title is Krishna pleases his devotee. So the verse goes here. The translation goes, we have heard that when their father passed away, the young Pandavas were brought with their anguished mother to the capital city by King Dhritarashtra, and they are now living there. So the families, Pandavas and Kauravas. So here Pandu and Dhritarashtra is the elder brother of Pandava. So after Pandu's death, in this translation here it says, the Lord is saying to Vidura, we heard that when their father passed away, the young Pandavas were brought, not Vidura, this is to Akrura. When we have heard that when their father passed away, the young Pandavas were brought with their anguished mother to the capital city by King Dhritarashtra, and that they are now living there. So Kunti was a woman, and she had 5 sons, whereas Dhritarashtra had 100 sons, and Dhritarashtra wanted his sons to be the king. Dhritarashtra was very envious of the Pandavas, and Dhritarashtra's son Duryodhana also was very envious. That's the nature of the material world. In material world, anybody who has accepted body, who is more or less envious, different degrees. In Chaitanya Charitamrita also, somewhere it says like that, there are many people in the dress of Vaishnavas, envious people like that. Hare Krishna. But when one becomes Krishna consciousness, he's free from envious. That's the test actually. He becomes free from all this material propensity, lust, greed, anger, envy. There are different degrees of this list. I'd like to honor Prabhu. He's from Mayapur. I remember since 1992, it's like that when I used to visit every year Mayapur, Prabhu used to lead the yagnas with another tall devotee. I remember brahmachari, saffron cloth. They were reciting very nice, very loud. It's very attractive. Swaha Om. Very nice atmosphere. Mayapur. Some glimpses, seeing him, I recall. So wonderful days it was. Anyway. So here we heard that when their father passed away, the young Pandavas brought with their youngest mother the capital city of King Dhritarashtra, and that they are now living there. next verse it goes, indeed weak-minded Dhritarashtra, the son of Ambika, has come under the control of his wicked sons. So Dhritarashtra, even Vidura also saying you are like Vichitra Virya, because Dhritarashtra was the son of Vyasdev actually. But here he says, indeed weak-minded Dhritarashtra, son of Ambika, has come under the control of his wicked sons, and therefore that blind king is not treating his brother's sons fairly. Weak-minded. So, yeah, even Arjuna was lamenting on the battlefield that my family, my relatives, how can I kill them? So one should not suppress himself. One should reveal his mind to the devotees. That's one thing, association of devotees. If you suppress yourself, you will be very disturbed like that. That's where conditioned soul's nature is. Here he says, indeed weak-minded Dhritarashtra, the son of Ambika, has come under the control of his wicked son. Here Dhritarashtra is compared to weak-minded. We are Kali Yuga souls. We are naturally, our mind is very weak. This Kali Yuga says, Manda Sumanda Matayo. Everything goes down. Memory, bodily strength, the duration of life, all the good qualities wane in human lives in this age of Kali Yuga. But in this age of Kali Yuga, the chanting of the holy name, the emphasis is given more. Hare Nama Kevalam. So one has to become very determined to become Krishna consciousness. Very determined to overcome this. Because material nature is very strong and we are very weak, very tiny, very tiny. We are always under the mode of passion and ignorance. That's very prominent. So this temple is a place, because temple we can see the deities, beautiful deities of the Lord, very nicely dressed. When you see the deities very nicely dressed, you also become rejuvenated. The temple very clean. Devotees very enthusiastic in performing devotional service, chanting Hare Krishna mantra with very determination. That's the key to spiritual life. If we are weak in our chanting, then everything becomes weak. That's why Brahma Muhurat is specially recommended to chant the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna. It's not so easy day after day, year after year, life after life, many years going on like that. But that's the process. But it's possible in an atmosphere where Krishna consciousness is prominent, where the devotees are very enthusiastic to chant the holy name. So when the devotees have a good relationship, then it's possible to become. Yes. Before we said that. In this only. Indeed, weak-minded Dhritarashtra, the son of Ambika, has come under the control of his wicked sons, and therefore that blind king is not treating his brother's sons fairly. Weak-minded Dhritarashtra, he is not treating his brother's sons fairly. He was not treating the Kauravas very fairly. Because he wanted some materialistic kingdom. He wants the sons to rule the kingdom. So this is the weakness, like material disease. One has to elevate his consciousness by Krishna consciousness. That's what spiritual life is actually, transcendental. That's a bodily conception of life, mental conception of life, intellectual conception, and then soul platform. That's very high stage, transcendent. So on the bodily conception, we become very bewildered. Yes, that's very strong. So all activities in devotional service, they have the potency. Whatever service we are doing with very great intensity, that degree of our surrender, we become more purified. So when Cheto Darpana Marjanam, as long as the heart is not unclean, we won't relish Krishna consciousness. We won't be Cheto Darpana Marjanam Anandam. Because the heart is not clean, we don't relish it. Otherwise, we chant, we dance, we feel very ecstatic. Very nice here. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Because it said Krishna's name is not different from Krishna. We are chanting Krishna means we are calling out to Krishna. We are calling out to Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. So, but we are conditioned souls. We are struggling with our body, mind, senses. So, yeah, so we can learn from these topics how Dhritarashtra was very envious. He was wanting his family members. That's I and mine. This is a thing that blocks our Krishna consciousness to progress in our spiritual life. More we are in the body conception of life, like that. We can learn from this teaching. Krishna pleases his devotee. So in this translation, we have heard that when their father passed away, the young Pandavas were brought with their anguished mother to the capital city by King Dhritarashtra, and that they are now living there. Imagine, Kunti is a woman by nature, and she had to face so much difficulties. The Pandavas were put in so much difficulties. They were given poison. They had to give up the kingdom. But still, they were always Krishna conscious. Kunti was praying that more troubles come, so that I can remember you, Krishna. So generally we cannot face this. But here Kunti Maharani's prayers is like that more troubles come so that I can remember Krishna. Actually, Krishna consciousness, it's a fight to Maya. It's a struggle. It's real struggle to be. But the qualification is one has to be sincere. One has to be sincere. One has to be very determined to be Krishna consciousness. Even in all circumstances, there will be ups and downs in spiritual life. Many obstacles in the path. Because of weakness of our heart. That's the disease here. Yeah, so we can learn from you this very fast. Kunti Maharani, though she was a woman, her house was burned. She was given her Pandavas were given poison. Bhima was given poison, and they had to give up their kingdom. Draupadi was she was tortured by the sons of Dhritarashtra, Drona, Duryodhan, and his brothers. So many obstacles they had to fight with the demons, but they all became success because they took shelter of Krishna. Two things are very important in spiritual life. That's the mercy of the spiritual master and the Lord. Like Parikshit Maharaj got this opportunity. This is very important. To be born in a devotee's house and in a very high or in a Vaishnava family. To get that training from childhood on the mercy of the Lord. But Krishna consciousness is very powerful. Any stage of life, it has its effect. Once coming to Krishna consciousness, you cannot give up. It's just like a fence. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. Indeed, weak mind. Go and see whether Dhritarashtra is acting properly or not. When we find out, we'll make the necessary arrangement to help our dear friends. So this is Krishna is saying to Akrura, go and see Dhritarashtra is acting properly or not. We find out, we will make the necessary arrangement to help our dear friends. In this chapter, especially Krishna pleases his devotee. How Krishna is very kind to his devotee. We heard before Uddhava, before this chapter it was 47, which was Uddhava. Uddhava was sent to console the gopis and the residents of Mathura, Vrindavan. And how they were constantly engaged in Krishna's, glorifying Krishna. They were totally immersed in Krishna 24/7. They were the very exalted devotees. In Uddhava also was glorifying the gopis. Especially this 10th chapter, 10th canto, Prabhupada said you have to go step. The lotus feet is, first canto is compared to the lotus feet of the Lord, and the face is compared to the 10th canto. So it's very deep, like with the gopis glorifying. Now we have see Akrura is glorifying Krishna. So wonderful prayers. I'll be reading a few of them, which Akrura is saying, it is our good fortune. Akrura saw Lord Krishna coming from distance. He saw Uddhava and Balram, Hare Krishna. And he honored them. He gave them a very seat. He washed their feet, offered them nice food. sandalwood paste, flowers, and washed the lotus feet, uh, and thus he pleased the Lord. And Kubja just offered a sandalwood paste to the Lord. In deity worship, we get this opportunity. Uh, we get this opportunity to have Charnamrit. Now we are missing that Charnamrit. I hope it will become soon. As it depends. And Hare Krishna. Yeah, but still, the virus is going on. It's still Charnamrit, Prasad sweets were like that. Charnamrit is the washed. Is the deities washed. We bathe the deities with very love and devotion, and we take it as Charnamrit. It says Akala Mrityu. Even death, we can overcome death. Akala means in timely death comes, and Charnamrit is so powerful. One has to take Charnamrit. We see in the teachings of Akrura how he saw the Lord. He offered his all respects to the Lord. He gave him a seat. He gave him nice sandalwood paste, flowers, very nice, all good, very nicely decorated cloths, everything to the Lord, and he pleased the Lord in that way. And now he's glorifying the Lord, and thereafter Lord Krishna is glorifying his devotees. So this the few chapters before about gopis and Uddhava, and thereafter Kubja, how she offers sandalwood paste, offered respects to the Lord. So these are very small things, but it has a lot of impact in our spiritual life. Offering obeisance to the Lord, offering respects to the devotees, offering a very nice paraphernalia to the Lord, taking the remnants of the Lord. It helps in our Krishna consciousness because they are all spiritual. Anything connected with Krishna is spiritual, any activities. So there's two things. One is for my personal sense gratification, and one is thing for the pleasure of God. Because conditioned souls, he just eats, sleeps, defends, and after sleeping, he wants to gratify senses. That's the nature. Conditioned soul is struggling here. But actually, Krishna consciousness to elevate our consciousness. We eat remnants offered to the Lord, nothing else. Food offered to the Lord. That's called Mahaprasad. Mahaprasad is the mercy of Lord. So when we chant, especially when we chant Hare Krishna and we cook and offer to the Lord, that food becomes very thankful. You feel the taste when you eat prasad. We see Prabhupada eating prasadam. He's honoring prasadam. So, yeah, there's prayers also, Mahaprasad, we chant before that, and read books by eating Mahaprasad also. Slowly, as time, everything goes slowly, it's declining. Kali Yuga is progressing very fast. But these are the programs we had all this in Krishna consciousness. Even so when we glorify a pure devotee or the Lord, that is very, whatever activities in Krishna consciousness, either you do deity worship, you do book distribution, you glorify Lord, everything has its potential. There's no like that, there's discrimination. This services, everything connected to the Lord has its potential. So here is Akrura. We can see Akrura's very nice, wonderful prayers. It is our good fortune that you two lords have killed the evil Kamsa and his followers, thus delivering your dynasty from endless suffering and causing it to flourish. So, when a exalted devotee, how is Krishna conscious? We saw in the teachings of gopis, how they were remembering Krishna's Vrindavan through the bee. They were meditating Krishna's pastimes. They were giving so nice examples of Vrindavan. They were appreciating the glories of Vrindavan when Krishna was performing his pastimes in Vrindavan. And then Kubja, how she's offering all the best things to the Lord. She's just offering us sandalwood paste. And here Akrura is just offering obeisances and now is glorifying Krishna in different ways. In this verse it says, it is our good fortune that you two lords have killed the evil Kamsa and his followers, and thus delivering your dynasty from endless suffering and causing it to flourish. It's Wonderful. Kamsa wanted to kill Krishna, and now Akrura Akrura was sent as a messenger to Krishna. And Akrura was all the way meditating on Krishna, that when he will be able to see the Lord. And he got the opportunity to see the Lord. And in this chapter, now Krishna is coming with Balram and Uddhava to meet Krishna, to meet Akrura. And Akrura is glorifying Krishna in different prayers and offering him very respects and this. And now he's saying about Kamsa, he's saying, it is our good fortune that you two lords have killed the evil Kamsa and his followers. So Krishna consciousness is always, the end is, even if you come in a lustful propensity or any other this, still is Krishna consciousness all purifying, because you have come to Krishna. Krishna is saying. So here Akrura is saying, it is our good fortune that you two lords have killed the evil Kamsa and his followers, thus delivering your dynasty from endless suffering and causing it to flourish. Kamsa was very demonic. Kamsa even wanted to kill his own sister during the marriage. And here we can see Akrura is saying, it's a good fortune that you two lords have killed the evil Kamsa and his followers. Krishna and Balrama is glorifying here. You both are the original Supreme Person, the cause of the universe and its very substance, not the slightest subtle cause or manifest product of creation exists apart from you. See, you are the original Supreme Person, the cause of the universe and its very substance, not the slightest subtle cause or manifest product of creation exists apart from you. So Krishna is the cause of all causes. He is the Supreme Lord. Everything comes from Krishna. Krishna is the creator. Krishna is the maintainer. Krishna is the annihilator. Krishna, he says, you both are the origin. Everything comes from Krishna. Krishna works through his different energies. Material nature works under the three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. Like that. But in false ego, the conditioned soul thinks he is the doer. But actually, Krishna fulfills the desire of a conditioned living. He wants to become a very nice businessman. He wants to become very wealthy. Okay, Krishna says you give it, but still it's temporary. Like in a dream. In a dream, we see a gold or a mountain. The dream has no value before and after. Similarly, between birth and end of life, there is relationship, there is business, there's family, many things. But before and after, there is no value of that. There's no relation. And you cannot take the money with you, or you cannot take the wealth. The bank won't say, here, your $100 million, take it with interest. The bank will take it away anyway. Whatever, name, fame, knowledge, whatever connected with the body. So we have to understand this here. It says, you both are the original Supreme Person, the cause of the universe and its very substance. Not the slightest subtle cause or manifest product of creation exists apart from you. So one has to understand Krishna is the enjoyer, Krishna is the master, Krishna is the proprietor. That's the material disease. That's the seed disease in this material world. We think we are the master, we are the enjoyer, we are the proprietor. That's the disease in this material world. That's the disease, material disease. Yeah. Very nice. So one has to understand Krishna is here. So second verse, it goes like that. He's first telling about seeing you. I become very fortunate after killing Kamsa, and then he's glorifying you are the original Supreme Person. And next verse he says, O Supreme Absolute Truth, with your personal energies, you create this universe and then enter into it. Thus one can pursue in many different forms by hearing from authorities and by direct experience. O Supreme Absolute Truth, with your personal energies, you create this universe and then enter to it. We create with your personal, you create this universe and then enter to it. Thus one can pursue you in many different forms by hearing from authorities and by direct experience. Like the sun is very powerful. Sun rays are distributed everywhere. Like if you see in a pot, different waters, different shadow is there. But from the sun, the rays come, and rays is reflected in the water. Here he says, "O Supreme Absolute Truth, with your personal energies, you create this universe." So this material universe is acting. We are. It's under these three modes of nature: goodness and passion and ignorance. So this is, oh Supreme, so with your personal energies, you create this universe and then enter into it. Thus, one can pursue you in many different forms by hearing from authorities and by direct experience. So we hear about Krishna's different forms, different incarnation, how Lord performs wonderful activities. There's a beautiful picture of Matsya Kurma Varaha over there. The songs also very beautiful songs. Keshavadrita, ne, Pralaya Payodi Jale Ditavan Ashivetam, Keshavadrita Meena Sharira, Jai Jagadish Hare, Jai Jagadish Hare, Jai Jagadish Hare. Where it's so much, it has so much transcendental potency, this glorifying this Vaishnava songs. Even this Bhagavatam verses, when we recite, it's a purification. Prabhupada says, even you recite one verse, 50 years, you will become purified. One verse, you will explain. This speaking, glorifying Krishna is purifying our intelligence. If you want to purify our intelligence, this is the best way to speak from Krishna Katha among devotees. Yes, there's also a verse in Bhagavad Gita, Machita Matgata Prana Bodhayanta Parasparam. Even Krishna says, one who distributes his knowledge, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam is very dear to. So this is very powerful. Here we can read it here from this verse. O Supreme Absolute Truth, with your personal energies, you create this universe and then enter to it. Thus one can pursue you in many different forms by hearing from authorities and by direct experience. Hearing from authorities and by direct experience. So Krishna is the best authority. He spoke the Bhagavad Gita. Yeah. So this few verses we read how Akrura is saying Krishna and he's saying him very good fortune and we are very fortunate seeing you, Krishna and Balrama. Seeing the Lord becomes, you become fortunate. Then he's saying you killed Kamsa and his followers and delivering the dynasty. Then he says you are the original person, cause of the cause. And then he says by your personal energy you create this universe. And then the next verse he says, just as the primary elements earth and so on manifest themselves in this. Just as the primary elements earth and so on manifest themselves in abundant variety among all the species of mobile and immobile life, you, the one independent Supreme Soul, appear to manifold among the variegated objects of your creation. So, yes, the primary elements, earth and so on, manifest themselves in abundant variety among all species of mobile and immobile life. There are many species of life. There are aquatics, 900 million species of life, 8,004,000 species of life, which 400,000 million species of human life. It is very small compared to the other species of life. In this verse it says, just as the primary elements, earth and so on, manifest themselves in abundant variety among all the species of mobile and immobile life, in moving and immoving life. There are trees which cannot move, they can stay in one place. But the conscious is not so developed. You can cut the branches, cut the leaf, but you don't water the root. They eat by the feet. It's called Padmaja. That one species which eat by the root like that. Yeah, so there he says, here Akrura is saying, you, just as the primary elements, earth manifest themselves in abundant variety among all the species of mobile and immobile life. You are the one independent Supreme Soul appear to manifold among the variegated subjects of your creation. So, whatever see these material products, they are coming from the Lord. And they are in different species of life. But the force is the living entity, that's a spirit soul within all that. And the Supreme Soul is within every living entity, either in any species of life. So, this Lord is so kind. Yes. You create, destroy, and also maintain this universe with your personal energies, the mode of passion, ignorance, and goodness. You create, destroy, and also maintain this universe with your personal energies, the mode of passion, ignorance, and goodness. Yet you are never entangled by these modes of activities they generate. Since you are the original source of all knowledge, what could ever cause you to bound by illusion? So, conditioned soul is bound within the modes of nature, but the Lord is not entangled by the modes. He is the creator. So this is different how this material creation, how the Lord comes as a super soul, and how Vidura is different glorification here. And finally, Krishna is now telling Akrura, you go and see the Pandavas and see about their welfare. He's very concerned. So very beautiful. This pastimes are there from Srimad Bhagavatam, from Kunti Maharaj teachings. Here it says. I would like to read this. The tragic and heroic figure of Queen Kunti emerges from an explosive era in the history of ancient India. The tragic and heroic figure of Queen Kunti emerges from an explosive era in the history of ancient India. As related in the Mahabharata, India's grand epic poem of 110,000 couplets, Kunti was the wife of King Pandu and the mother of the 5 illustrious sons known as the Pandavas. As such, she was one of the central figures in a complex political drama that culminated 50 centuries ago in the Kurukshetra war, a devastating war of ascendancy that changed the course of world events. The Mahabharata describes the prelude to the Holocaust as follows. So this is a very ancient, which there is Kunti Maharani. The history of Kunti is given in the Mahabharata, and Bhagavad Gita is the part of Mahabharata. It says, Kunti was the wife of King Pandu and the mother of the 5 illustrious sons known as the Pandavas. And she was one of the central figures in a complex political drama. And she was Pandu became king because his elder brother Dhritarashtra had been born blind, a condition that excluded him from direct succession. Sometime after Pandu ascended to the throne, Dhritarashtra married Gandhari and fathered 100 sons. This was the ruling family of the Kaurava dynasty, whom the eldest son was the ambitious and cruel Duryodhana. So Dhritarashtra was blind, so Pandu became the king. So after that, Pandu died, and Dhritarashtra married Gandhari. Gandhari had married Dhritarashtra married Gandhari, and he begot sons because Pandu could not begot sons because he had some curse. Yeah, we will find it that Kunti, how she had a boon, she can call any demigods and she can beget sons. Meanwhile, they were all virtuous sons. Dhritarashtra was dharma, like that. Arjuna was a warrior. But the Duryodhana, they were all envious of Bhima and they wanted to kill them. Meanwhile, Pandu had taken 2 wives, Madri and Kunti. Originally named Prita, Kunti was the daughter of Surasena, the chief of the glorious Yadu dynasty. It's the Kshatriyas, they had many wives, like previously. Meanwhile, Pandu had taken 2 wives, Madri and Kunti, originally named Prita. Kunti was the daughter of Surasena, the chief of the glorious Yadu dynasty. The Mahabharata relates that Kunti was gifted with beauty and character, and she rejoiced in the law Dharma and was great in her vows. She also possessed an unusual benediction. And she was very pure, she was very chaste, and she had she was in her oaths. She kept her oaths very nice. That's also Prabhupada says, if you chant Hare Krishna and follow the principles very strictly, you can progress very fast, quickly. Very nice. Hare Krishna. Here we can learn. Here, very nice. Kunti was the daughter of Surasena, the chief of the glorious Yadu dynasty. The Mahabharata relates that Kunti was gifted with beauty and character. She rejoiced in the law dharma and was great in her oaths. She also possessed an unusual benediction. When she was a child, her father Surasena had given her in adoption his childless cousin and close friend Kunti Boja. In other words, in this we can see the religious life and irreligious life. The Kauravas, they were irreligious. And the Lord Krishna wanted to establish Yudhishthira as the king, the pious people. And so we see Kunti Maharani, she had gone so much difficulties, but she was very pure in her life. Mahabharata relates that she was gifted with beauty and character. She rejoiced in her oaths. She also possessed an unusual benediction. When she was a child, her father Surasena had given her in adoption to his childless cousin and close friend. Kunti was gifted with beauty and character. She rejoiced in the law dharma. She rejoiced in the law dharma. That dharma means following the principle of spiritual life. Adharma means irreligious life. Yeah. That's also one thing. Yes, spiritual life is just like a razor's blade. When you do shave, and if you're little careless, it will cut. Spiritual life is like that. If we are careless, we cut ourselves only. Here we can get this quote from here. The Mahabharata relates that Kunti was gifted with beauty and character. She rejoiced in the law dharma and was great in her oaths. She also possessed an unusual benediction. When she was a child, her father Surasena had given her in adoption to his childless cousin. So she was handed to she was adopted, means by her cousin and close friend. Kunti Boja. Hence the name Kunti in her stepfather's house. Kunti's duty was to look after the welfare of guests. One day the powerful sage and mystic Durvasa came there and was pleased by Kunti's selfless service. So this also make a good point, how she was serving the guest. That's what dasanu das. One should serve the devotees, like we heard yesterday's class. Amrendra Prabhu was giving. He is very enthusiastic. I knew him like he used to come to Jew with his father, not his father, his parents, and he used to play mirdang. Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj, Holiness Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj, he used to play mirdang behind sitting. And I just recalled Prabhu in Mayapur. He was very reciting Sanskrit mantras. It's very nice vibration, very nice Mayapur. So all the young kids, they were nice. 90s, yeah. Yes, Prabhu, you recall it, right? Mayapur, you were doing yagya all, right? That time. So it's nice. Nice. Yeah, brahmachari. When brahmachari is very powerful, like Krishna consciousness, if you want to raise the standard of temple, then this ashram should be there, brahmachari ashram. They should follow these principles very strictly. Brahmachari, vanaprastha, and sannyasi. If a sannyasi or vanaprastha, he has to get a higher taste to give up the lower taste of this material activities. Here it says, one day the powerful sage and mystic Durvasa came there and was pleased by Kunti's selfless service. Selfless service. That's what Bhagavad Gita also says. So, one should render selfless service. One should do everything for the pleasure of Lord. In the 3rd chapter, in the preface introduction, Prabhupada gives this selfless. Prabhupada also said, even if I turn one person to a pure devotee, my movement will be very successful. I'll think all my endeavor will be successful. One day the powerful sage and mystic Durvasa came there and was pleased by Kunti's selfless service. Foreseeing that she would have difficulty conceiving sons, Durvasa gave her the benediction that she could invoke any demigod and by him obtain progeny. So, Kunti was doing selfless service and Durvasa Muni came to her and she she got the benediction that you can get progeny through calling any other demigods. Yeah, this family life means there should be children. Otherwise, a house is very painful. If there is no, because one person works very hard the whole day. Why? Because he is attached to his family. He gets some pleasure in family life like that. He says Kunti Maharani also, she had no son then, but she was serving selflessly, and she got the benediction. And yeah. Yes. After Kunti married Pandu, he was placed under a curse that prevented him from begetting children. So he renounced the throne and retired with his wives to the forest. There Kunti's special benediction enabled her to conceive at her husband's request 3 glorious sons. First she invoked Dharma, the demigod of religion. After worshipping him and repeating an invocation, Durvasa had taught her, she united with Dharma. In time gave birth to a boy. As soon as the child was born, a voice with no visible source said, this child will be called Yudhishthira, and he will be very virtuous. He will be splendid, determined, renounced, and famous throughout the 3 worlds. Yes. So here it says, after Kunti married Pandu, he was placed under a curse that prevented from begetting children. Actually, the story goes, no, that was of Kurukshetra. That was of Kaurava. He had got 100 sons because he killed and deer when it was having with the female. The male deer was having interaction with female. Hare Krishna. Yes? Oh, yes. No, I was comparing this. Kunti married Pandu. He was placed under a curse that prevented him from begetting children. So he renounced the throne. Actually, Dhritarashtra got 100 sons. But Dhritarashtra was blind, and Dhritarashtra had committed an offense long back while he had gone hunting, like in his previous life. Am I right, bro? Dhritarashtra had... He went hunting and he shot an arrow, and the deer and the male and female were having intimate this. Yeah, right? Pandu, yes. Okay, so I'm mistaken with this. Yeah. So here it was says, after Kunti married Pandu, he was placed under a curse that prevented him from begetting children. So he renounced the throne and retired with his wives to the forest. So he was cursed, he could not beget children. There Kunti's special benediction entitled her to conceive at her husband's request 3 glorious sons. First she invoked Dharma, the demigod of religion. After worshipping him and repeating an invocation, Durvasa taught her, she united with Dharma and in time gave birth to a boy. As soon as the child was born, a voice with no visible source said, this child will be called Yudhishthira, and he will be very virtuous. He will be splendid, determined, renounced, and famous throughout the 3 worlds. So Dharma means religion, follow religion. Dharma, she invoked Dharma. Durvasa gave her benediction to Kunti, and she invited Dharma, and she begot Yudhishthira Maharaj, and he was so virtuous. Here he says, Durvasa had taught her, she united with Dharma, and in time she gave birth to a boy. As soon as the child was born, a voice with no visible source said, this child will be called Yudhishthira, and he will be virtuous, he will be splendid, determined, renounced, and famous throughout the world. So determination, renounced. So more we are determined in our spiritual life, more we are detached, we become more empowered like that. Having been blessed with this virtuous son, Pandu then asked Kunti for a son of great physical strength. So first she asked for a religious, a virtuous son, Dharma, and then second she called for, Pandu then asked Kunti for a son, great physical strength. Thus Kunti invoked Vayu, the demigod of the wind, who begot the mighty Bhima. Upon Bhima's birth, the supernatural voice said, this child will be the foremost of all strong men. So first she called Dharma, and then Yudhishthira was born. He was very virtuous, he was very determined, he was renounced. There was an sky, echo from the sky. Then we got a son who was very great physical strength. That was the son of Vayu. That's Bhima, second. This child will be the foremost of all strong men. Thereafter, Pandu consulted with great sages in the forest and then asked Kunti to observe oaths of austerity for 1 full year. At end of this period, Pandu said to Kunti, "O beautiful one, Indra, the king of heaven, is pleased with you, so invoke him and conceive a son." So again she maintained her chastity, she maintained her oaths, and then she consulted with great sages in the forest, and then asked Kunti to observe oaths of 1 full year. At the end of this, Pandu said to Kunti, "O beautiful one, Indra, the king of heaven, is pleased with you, so invoke him and conceive a son." Kunti then invoked Indra, who came to her and begot Arjuna. And as soon as the prince was born, the same celestial voice boomed throughout the sky. "O Kunti, this child will be as strong as Kartavirya and Sibi, two powerful kings of Vedic times, and as invisible as battle of Indra himself. He will spread your fame everywhere, acquire many divine weapons." Hare Krishna. I will stop here. There's more two to go here. 3 sons. So first she called Dharma, then she called Vayu, yes, and the third one she was called Indra. So the first one was Dharma, it was Yudhishthira. The second one was Bhima by Vayu, and the third was conceived by Indra. That's what. As soon as the prince was born, this child will be strong as Kartavirya and Sibi, two powerful kings of Vedic times, as invisible in battle as Indra himself. As invisible as Indra himself, he will spread your fame everywhere and acquire many divine weapons. Pandu's junior wife Madri bore 2 sons named Makula and Sadev. These 5 sons of Pandu, Yudhishthira, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula, and Sadev, then came to be known as the Pandavas. So the other 2 were born by Madri, the second wife of Pandu. Hare Krishna. Any comments? Any questions? Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Your kindness. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Srimad Bhagavad Puran. Yeah.